Nah, dude. Nah.
Okay, we have Chazzy. I've got to make sure I get that name
Chazzy.
right. Chazzy,
Yeah.
one half of the side
Chazzy.
projects, but kind of the permanent
pretty much.
addition.
My co-host Juice Box, shout out to him. We're still good friends and everything, but we started it together about 2 years ago, the Side Projekt Podcast, and he was on every episode besides a few when he couldn't make it, and I did some solo episodes, but he definitely was the other half of it, but now he's on kind of a hiatus and just kind of comes in he can due to personal circumstances. So it's basically just me these days. A lot of rotating guests.
Well, you've got it there on your hoodie, Side Projekt.
Side project with a K.
With a K. I know that because typing in your email it wouldn't save. It's a pain in the ass.
yeah, I know. The auto correct, right?
But so we will talk about my introduction to Halloween 1978, and it all because of a TV show on Netflix called Movies That Made Us.
Yeah. I watched that one.
Season 3 was talking about Halloween, and they'll talk about that 4-minute intro. And they said they were using the state of the art panorama sort of handheld cameras, and they could only hold about 4 minutes of film, so they had to get that shot right.
Yeah, the one where he's a kid, and
the right beginning.
Yeah,
and the guy who plays what's the doctor's name? He's in loads of them.
Dr. Loomis.
Loomis. The guy who played Loomis.
Donald Pleasance.
Yeah, so he was the baddie and Inspector of the 007 movies. And so they were saying behind the scenes that he was like drunk on 2 bottles of red wine during that scene when they talk about pure evil. He's in the car. So me and my girlfriend, who we both watched the Movies That Made Us episode of Halloween, and then we watched Halloween because it was coming up to Halloween, and she just started burst out laughing. She's like, "He looks fucking wrecked."
And now that you're aware of it, you can pinpoint it. You see it.
Pure evil. But it was a great film. I enjoyed it.
Halloween movies are classic, man. I mean, as they go on, they kind of get a little out of place and a little cheesy, but there's a few of them that are top notch. I mean, Michael Myers as a whole, top notch villain. What do they call them? Are they called slashers, right? Slasher films. Yeah, top in top 3 slasher villains next to Freddy Krueger and Jason Voorhees. Although I really like Leatherface too, but I'm a big horror buff too. So I've done episodes on my show where we've done when Juice was still there. We've done like horror brackets.
Would you put Jason as to me, he's just like a raging meathead. I know the story there.
I get what you're saying. Yeah, I get what you're saying. And it's like all these two, they're technically, well, I mean, not Freddy, but like Michael and Jason, in a sense, they're just kind of like humans, but they got all these like crazy abilities, you know, like demonic super strength abilities. It's weird, but I don't know. It's fun. I'm a big horror buff, so I love horror movies, man.
Yeah.
You guys saw the recent Halloween?
No.
Yeah.
No, I've only seen the first recent one. Only the first recent.
Do you know what I have a lot of respect for with the filmmakers of that franchise is the fact that they had such a strong fan base that they were willing to retcon 6 movies.
Yeah.
And then do a reboot sequel.
Yeah, because now it's only Halloween 1978, the other one that came out, and then Halloween Kills, and then Halloween Ends. So it's just a 4-parter now.
Because they removed
all those other ones they don't exist.
And I think that was brave and it paid off well. It's like everybody who came in watching it accepted that.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I know John Carpenter doesn't like Halloween 2, but that's a good film.
Yeah, I think I believe that's one of like, people call that like a cult classic. I believe people really like some of those in there. I think Halloween 2 is one of them.
Yeah, 2 in the hospital, and 3 is the one without Michael, the masks. That's a cult classic.
The one without Michael, is that the one with the kids? Is it kids?
Yeah, it's like
am I thinking
TV
of something
advert.
else?
Some crazy scientist. He's got like, when kids put on the mask and the song plays, they die. And Michael's nothing to do with the film. It's just part of the Michael. It's like Halloween franchise. I think they were trying to go in a separate direction, but everyone was like, "Why the fuck is Michael not in this?"
Why? Yeah, exactly. I never saw that one in full. I only saw like parts of that one. I always wanted to go back and watch.
It's really good. If you just look at it as not a Halloween film, it's really good.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
They tried it with Terminator. They tried retconning 3 of the films in between.
Oh, that's right.
But it didn't work.
That's right. Yeah.
Did they? Which ones did they do that with?
So what happened was, the chronology, because I'm really into Terminator, they did the first and second film, and after that, James Cameron stopped writing, directing them, I think he sold it, didn't he? He sold the property.
Yeah.
His Canon went bankrupt or something like that. And so number 3 comes out, then there's Salvation, then there's Genesis, and then Terminator Dark Fate comes out, and they completely retcon the 3 films after James Cameron, and it reintroduced Linda Hamilton.
Yeah.
But the first 5 minutes, I've only ever seen the first 5 minutes of Dark Fate, and it completely shits all over the fans. John Connor gets killed instantly.
I'm trying to remember which one is Dark Fate. I can't think of
the one that came out most recently. So the opening scene,
what's the one with the?
Oh, I remember. I remember now.
The one from Game of Thrones. Ain't she supposed to be Sarah Connor?
No. That's the TV spin-off. That's Terminator Chronicles. Sarah Connor Chronicles. That wasn't a bad show, to be honest. I had a good following.
Genesis.
There is a movie.
With
it's not Genesis. There's the one with the girl from Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. What's her name?
He's right.
Lena Headey.
No. I know which one you're on about. That's Chronicles. What's her name? She plays the dragon woman.
Oh yeah, Emily Clark.
That's the one. Yeah.
Amelia Clark. Amelia Clark.
Fuck it up.
I don't know these names. It's all fog in my head.
What's that one about? Does she play Sarah Connor?
All right, so I watched Genesis
like
in the cinema.
Younger version.
I watched Genesis in the cinema. I actually enjoyed it at the time. It was just, I just enjoyed it.
It was like Terminator 3. I enjoyed Terminator 3 at the time.
Yeah,
when it first came out.
Yeah.
Genesis starts off with the end of the war, and then there's this nanobot Terminator, and then John Connor Kyle Reese has to go back, but it completely retcons the first 2 films and shits all over it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I remember that. I liked Genesis when it came out, just like you said. I enjoyed it for what it was when it came out. The two I guess you could call them reboots or whatever. The one with Amelia Clark, and then the Dark Fate one. You said, but were those together? Were those in the same?
No. So Genesis was meant to be its own trilogy, like a soft reboot.
Okay.
Because they were doing the
time
travel
with Amelia Clark, and then Dark Fate. Were those two like 1 and 2?
So you get your first Terminator films. You get the first 2, and then number 3 comes out, and number 3 basically says Judgment Day was never stopped; it was just postponed. So that's that one, and then it ends with the only saving grace of Terminator 3 is the anticlimactic ending with the nuclear bombs going off, and John Connor and what's the girl's name? I can't remember her name, but the girlfriend.
I can't either.
They're in the base where it's the bunker where it's safe, and then Terminator Salvation with Christian Bale.
Oh, Salvation
is during the war, so everyone was excited because we actually get to see a Terminator film where it's actually the war itself, but it was mostly shot in daytime, and it was I don't know, it was just action packed, but just didn't really have any substance.
I think this whole time we've been talking about, I think I'm confusing Salvation for Genesis and vice versa.
So then Genesis comes along about 6 years later, and it's all about a sort of soft reboot of the timeline. So
is that the one with Amelia Clark?
Yeah.
Oh, I had it. I'm mixing them up in my mind. Okay, now I'm on point. Okay, now I get it. Now I got the timeline.
And then Dark Fate comes along, and now the franchise is dead on its ass. And thank God, because going back to Terminator 1 and 2, and especially number 2, I'm like, this film is just something else.
See, number 1, it really seems like it was going for a horror feel.
Yeah.
With this creepy stalker robot vibe,
Mm.
And the second one comes along and does an Aliens. But I like fucking.
I think
it's like Alien and Aliens, though, that it's like a perfect complement to each other, isn't it? First and second film.
Yeah.
Well, this is a perfect segue for what going into Spider-Man, right? So James Cameron was meant to be producing or directing a Spider-Man film, the first live-action Spider-Man movie, and Leonardo DiCaprio was gonna be
Peter Parker.
And it was meant to have Doc Ock as the main antagonist, and the fight was going to take place on the World Trade Center. But looking at Terminator 2, and looking what he did with the T-1000, what do you think a mid-90s Spider-Man film with James Cameron at the helm? What do you think that would have been like?
Oh man, I think it would have been
good question.
More like explosions and stuff. I don't want to say more like. Is it James Cameron or is it Steven who does a lot of
Michael Bay
in their movies? Michael Bay. That's okay. That's who I'm thinking of too. Not so much Michael Bay style, but I do feel like it would be more big budget. Like
he does up the ante, doesn't he?
Yeah, I feel like it would be a little bit more like that. Not so much Michael Bay, maybe a little bit more dumbed down on the explosions and everything like that. But I do feel like it would be like oh my god, and like amped up a lot more.
I think they got the timing correct.
I wonder if it would have been comic accurate.
Yeah, I get you.
I don't know if he would have stuck comic accurate. I wonder if he would have.
Is the first
wanted a lot
Spider-Man
more control.
accurate with the web shooters coming out his wrists and shit? Is that accurate?
No,
I don't think it is.
Technically not.
Sorry, I've just remembered something. I can't say what it is though.
Yeah, don't tell me. I know it's about No Way Home, right? Is it?
Don't worry about it, bro.
About Spider-Man 1 and how he shoots webs out his ass.
Yeah, I know.
No,
right?
Spider-Man 2. That opening to Spider-Man 2 when he's delivering pizzas. That's great. I know it's like
real quickly. Yeah. I just have to add real quickly, just a quick segue. There's a film that's kind of like Spider-Man meets David Cronenberg's The Fly, and it's got Dan Aykroyd in it, and it's called The Human Spider versus the Rest of the World. It's a made-for-TV movie about a man who it's a what you call a biological horror, body horror. It's a body horror, and a man turns himself into a spider, and he shoots webs out of his abdomen. It's a good film.
Sounds familiar.
The human spider
part sounds familiar.
Yeah, the human spider versus the rest of the world. It's basically Spider-Man meets The Fly. It's worth watching.
Look that up.
2002, I think. Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah.
Anyway,
no, the first Spider-Man definitely didn't come out of his skin. Spider-Man's always he's always built his web shooters. That's another thing that's like I don't want to veer too far from the whole James Cameron thing, but that's the other thing where a lot of people had complaints with this recent Tom Holland iteration in the MCU is it's too what's the word I'm looking for? It's too based off of Iron Man.
He's nerfed, didn't he?
Yeah, whereas like in the comics, he's a genius. Like he builds all his stuff. He does everything himself. He's a genius. He's really, really high intellect, and he can do everything himself. Whereas in this iteration, Iron Man kind of set everything up for him. Tony Stark setting up for him until Homecoming. We kind of first start seeing him building his own suit, getting things ready, and I think that was their way of introducing like he's going to start being more of his. Then again, I have not seen No Way Home yet. As of this recording, I'm seeing it tomorrow, so I don't know. You guys may know something that I don't know.
Well, I'm not going to add anything to that, but there is a trailer out there. There's a teaser trailer for the original 2002 Spider-Man, and in that teaser trailer, it does show Peter Parker with artificial web shooters, and it was something that they scrapped later on. But yeah, and it had the Matrix Club to Death, I think it was. It had Club to Death playing in the back. You know that music that's playing when Morpheus is walking Neil? Yeah. It's got that song in the background, and it's just showing you Peter Parker looking at us with his web shooters. It's like back in the day, teaser trailers were literally they just filmed something there and then used that as a trailer. Whereas now they seem to really be leaving it as late as possible now. Right.
Yeah. I think what they did with having the web come out of his actual skin and everything, I mean, it's not technically comic accurate. I mean, if you don't know anything about Spider-Man or whatever, I mean, it would kind of make sense to the average viewer.
It's a movie shortcut
in my mind. Yeah, like, he hit by a spider, so it would make sense that now he's got some spider abilities. Webs actually come out of spiders. Spiders aren't sitting in a corner building, a shooter for their web. It actually comes out of them. So to the everyday average moviegoer, I think they obviously didn't pick it apart. They were probably just like, well, it makes sense.
It was a funny scene as well when Peter Parker's trying to figure out how he shoots webs, and he's doing all the hand gestures, and he even says Shazam.
Go, web, go.
He says Shazam, doesn't he? Shazam.
He does. He says Shazam. I've noticed that Marvel does that a lot, where they do tend to reference DC stuff in their movies and their cartoons and even some of the comics. They do that a lot.
Doctor Strange is referenced in Spider-Man 2, isn't he? When they're trying to figure out the name of Doc Ock. He goes, that's a good name. It's already taken.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. And they did it. They did that in they did a reference. I don't know if you guys saw Eternals.
Say that again.
Eternals.
The Eternals, the one that just came out.
I avoided it.
Okay. It's I watched it recently. And I did my episode, or actually I don't know when your guys' episode comes out, so it may not be the latest episode anymore, but one of my latest episodes, I for a portion of it, I talked about my review for the Eternals because I watched it. A lot of people shit on it, didn't like it, and I personally, just me, I loved it. I didn't see it. It's like super, actually pretty important for the past, present, and future the MCU. It ties a lot of things together, and and it kind of, I won't spoil anything, but it sets a lot of things up, in my personal opinion.
Okay.
Pretty good. But in Eternals, this isn't a spoiler because it was out in the trailers and everything. They reference Superman. So we know Superman exists in the MCU in some shape, way, or form. Who knows exactly how it is, but they reference Superman. And I just think that's funny. And then there's also, bringing it back to Spider-Man, though, there's also a 1981, I believe. I posted it on my Instagram, on the Side Projekt Instagram, 1981 Spider-Man and cartoon, where they also reference Superman again. Spider-Man makes a joke, or Peter Parker makes a joke, and he's asking, I don't think it's Mary Jane, I believe it's someone else. He's asking a girl on a date to go see a Superman movie. He's like, there's this, I'm paraphrasing here, but he says something like, there's a movie out. Let's go watch this movie about a alien from another planet who's allergic to green rocks. And she's like, oh, that sounds great. Like they're going to go see the movie. So Marvel does that a lot, where they reference their competition. And I don't think DC does that at all.
Do you think that's what's going to be happening next after Phase 4? You think they're going to be doing a mashup like they did with the comics?
I think they might. I mean, I personally am not sure how I feel about it. As of right now, I don't want it. There's so much going on in the MCU, and there's so much to look forward to, in my personal opinion. Like, I'm really stoked for the X-Men coming in, Fantastic Four coming in. Again, you guys saw No Way Home, so I'm sure you saw a lot of awesome stuff. I'm excited for the Multiverse of Madness and what happens with that. There's a lot going on. And then if you go to the DC side of things, I personally feel like DC's a mess, and they kind of don't know what they're doing.
I was going to say that.
Keep rebooting things. Yeah, so I mean, to add Marvel and DC coming together, whether in any sort of form right now, as far as on film goes, I don't think it's a good idea. If they were to do
DC
something
needs
animated,
to get that shit
I think
together,
that's fine. Yeah, I feel like they do.
I think
But
Joker,
as far as what you said after Phase 4 or whatever, Marvel has things lined up for the next 10 to 15 years. So maybe after the next 10 to 15 years, I could see something happening. But I also don't see Marvel playing ball right now.
No, I get that.
They have a blueprint of what they want.
I agree. I mean, I think Joker was a potential good step in the right direction, because I think maybe standalone R-rated is what they should do.
Right. Yeah, I agree, actually.
So going back to Spider-Man, Sean and I were having a discussion about how we feel about Spider-Man 2002 and The Amazing Spider-Man. And it got us thinking about the pacing of the first Spider-Man movie, just how well paced it is.
Yeah.
You know, within the first less than 20 minutes, you've already got the origin stories of both the hero and the villain.
Right.
Tremendous.
Right. Yeah. I remember watching those in theaters, or how you guys say in cinema, right? You guys say cinema out there?
Cinema, we used to say pictures back in the day. We say the pictures.
Oh, yeah, the pictures. Yeah. Fucking hell, that's died out now.
It's like in the Green Mile. Like, I ain't never seen me no flicker show before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we saw out here. It's theaters. I always like the differences in culture and everything, and languages.
If we were going to go to the theaters, that'd be like a fucking play, wouldn't it?
Oh, is that why you guys actually say it like that out there? That differentiates. Yeah, you're right. Actually,
the cinema.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, out here it's just everything's just, we say
Broadway. You say Broadway,
and then say Broadway or plays for
Broadway
theater. Yeah.
Chicago.
But, I remember.
Sorry, we interviewed.
No, no worries, man. I remember watching the first Spider-Man one with Tobey Maguire when it came out. I don't remember how old I was. What was it? 2002.
Yeah.
Right. I don't remember how old I was. I'm not even going to try to do the quick maths. I'm horrible at math. But I remember watching it in theaters. I was definitely young. I was probably like in middle school, and it made me feel like Spider-Man. I remember when I watched it late, actually, like not in the day, but like later in the time frame. So I watched it with like my brothers, I believe, and we were like one of the only few in that theater at the time. And I remember the theater that we were at, it had like railings separating the top part of the theater and then the bottom part of the theater where you sit closer to the screen. And I remember standing as a kid. I remember standing up on the railing and acting Spider-Man after the movie was over. Like, it really resonated and made me feel like Spider-Man, seeing him live action like that.
I totally feel that, because when I was about 14, 15, and Sean was saying as well, we started doing parkour, because parkour, it became the new thing. Yeah. And you know, we weren't very good at it to begin with, but watching, I remember Spider-Man 2 was a movie I kept going back to. This is when I first started coming online with the impact of cinema, because as a kid, you sort of, see the superficialness of it all. And it's not until, or we'll get to it in a minute, but, you know, Blade Runner was really the big one for us at 17. But I remember that even just before then, the seeds, and one of the early seeds for me was Spider-Man 2, the Uncle Ben scene in the car when he says, you know, I'm going to live my own dreams now. The scene with Aunt May about there is a hero in all of us. You know, when I was doing parkour, I found that to be very empowering.
Yeah.
In what I was doing.
I could see that. Yeah, I could totally see that.
You know, it's the idea of, you know, who is Spider-Man, like, and who the Peter Parker, the identity of all that. And, you know, when you're a teenager, you kind of struggle with your own identity. You think, who am I? You know?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. I'm in and I still don't know who the fuck I am. You know?
Yeah, I was just about to say that. I'm still. I knew who I was when I was a teenager.
Still trying to figure things out.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure things out, man. I don't know.
Great speeches. Great.
But, Amazing Spider-Man 1, the first Amazing Spider-Man. I said this last night. It's controversial, but it's my favorite. It's my favorite Spider-Man film so far.
I gotta, you know what? I've had this conversation so many times with people just in life, and then on my podcast too with different guests, because I have a lot of cosplayers on as well, because my podcast tends to focus on cosplay as well. And so, you know, they're all cosplaying as different characters. So we saw Spider-Man a lot, and I gotta agree with you, man. As classic as the Tobey ones are, I'm one of those people really, really, really love and enjoy the Amazing Spider-Mans. I really like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker / Spider-Man, but I did not enjoy the Electro. I just got to put that out there. Blue Electro.
Yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was disappointing, but fucking that first Amazing Spider-Man is brilliant. If I was going to go back now and watch a Spider-Man film, I'd stick on that one. It just did.
Sean and I had a very kind of profound experience watching the first Amazing Spider-Man. I'd moved to the south coast of Weymouth, the south coast of England. I'm living in the south coast, and Sean and a good friend of ours came down to visit, and we got the Amazing Spider-Man had just come out, so we go to the cinema and we watched this film, and then we kind of walked to the beach and we were smoking a joint and we were just discussing what our thoughts on the movie whilst comparing it to the Tobey Maguire, and just describing how refreshing it was to see such a different take on Spider-Man. And it was like one of those memories that you just kind of keep with you. You're like, wow, because it was an awesome week in general. We got up to all sorts of shit. And it was just such a, you know, I mean, I'd love to, Sean and I talk about it a lot. And it's like, you could even just write a story about three dudes watching that movie and then discussing it afterwards on the beach, getting high.
Yeah. Yeah. I love those movies. The web slinging in The Amazing Spider-Man might just be, I have to go back and watch them though, again, like now, because I haven't seen them for a while, but from what I remember, and then like just looking things up on YouTube and whatnot, the web slinging and the way, like, I think it's the opening scene for the first one, if I remember correctly, where Spider-Man is just shooting down out of the sky. I believe it's the opening scene. It could be the second one.
That's the second one. Yeah.
The second one. And he's going straight down, and you can see like it's his back, and you see the ripples in the suit and everything. And it's so detailed, like that style of it would be semi CGI, practical and CGI, that, and then like all the web slinging that they did in The Amazing Spider-Man, to me might just be some of the best web slinging in all of the Spider-Man movies. I think they really got it down with The Amazing Spider-Man. I
agree, because in the first movie you witnessed him sort of in the infancy of his potential. He was struggling and he had to have the crane operators help him out, but by the second film he's matured, and the web slinging is matured and it's so much better.
Yeah, I really dug that. I don't think as much as I love personally Tom Holland as Spider-Man, and I'm a giant MCU fan, I back them like crazy even when they make mistakes, but I don't think that they've got the web slinging. Again, you guys have seen No Way Home, I haven't, so maybe they show things that are a lot better, but in my personal opinion so far, comparison to Tobey and Andrew, the web slinging for Tom Holland, I still think that Amazing Spider-Man's definitely better. I can't recall Tobey 100% right now, but I just don't think the MCU has got the web slinging down 100%.
Yeah, so with Sam Raimi, they kind of introduced this new camera technique where literally the camera was hung to a rope, and it could literally drop, you know, multiple stories very, very quickly, and it come down and come up, and then they would just sort of I don't know the technical term, but they would composite Spider-Man into that shot.
Nice.
But the camera and the location was all legit, was all practical.
Nice.
And then by the time the Mark Webb Amazing Spider-Man comes along, I think they try to make it more first person, more immersive.
Yeah, they did a lot of first person stuff. Yeah,
but it was all computer generated, whereas Sam Raimi used real.
Interesting.
And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, just little bits of trivia and all that pop into my head coming to think about it.
So I was going to say, Tom Holland, I do enjoy Tom Holland's Spider-Man, but the Spider-Man looks like a GTA 4 ragdoll a lot of the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like flopping about.
Yeah.
I think the reason why is because they're trying to show like just how young, because like when you're younger and you fall over, you bounce more, don't you? You just kind of pick yourself up. Whereas the older you get, the more rigid and more of a bang you land with.
That's a good way to look at it. That's a good way. I agree with both of those things. Yeah, both of those statements. That's a good look at it. He is a very young Spider-Man, and I tend to forget that sometimes too. And then when I'm like conversing with other people and talking about it, that's things I always say is, well, he's a younger Spider-Man. He's a younger Peter Parker. He's still learning. He's still learning a lot. But I tend to forget that sometimes myself. And Marvel's very looking for. They execute everything. They try to execute every little thing, even the smallest of details. So you may be right about that, you know, when it comes to fallen ragdoll type physics, these swings, like he's still very young.
I want to ask you, what would how did you feel when you watched Spider-Man 3 in the cinema?
That's the one,
the original.
Yeah,
I missed Spider-Man 1 and 2. I watched 3 in the cinema and I was like, fuck, I missed the fucking second one.
I did not like that movie, man. I did not like that movie. I was really, really excited. Venom is one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters ever, and he is my favorite Spider-Man in the Spider-Man universe, character in Spider-Man universe. And man, they just butchered Venom. They butchered Venom horribly. I think it was a horrible job. And then like the whole emo scene with Peter and all that, it was just like, it was the epitome of cheesy and just
that's comedy gold now. Nowadays, you watch that's fucking comedy genius.
All the memes that it has rendered, though, I got to give them that. All the memes that it's
Billy Maguire.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, as well, is that it's just the audacity that these studio executives thought that emo was going to be in forever.
I know
it was a passing
and that
phase.
It needed to be in a Spider-Man movie too. You know, like what did it have to do with Spider-Man though, and what did it have to do with Peter Parker and like the storyline? It just felt forced out of. And I just personally didn't like it.
I swear he was wearing eyeliner at one point as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. He had to.
And you know what else is funny as well is like you can tell because like in the first Spider-Man movie, you can see that Tobey Maguire put some effort into getting into shape, and this was kind of before that was the norm.
The thing, yeah.
And you know that scene where he's bitten by the spider, he takes his shirt off, he's pasty, he's thin, he's looking malnourished, skinny, kind of like what most teenagers look like. Yeah. And then the next day he wakes up and he's fucking ripped. And then by Spider-Man 3, you can see this guy, he's got a double chin. He ain't got no muscles. He didn't give a fuck. He got paid and he showed up.
Yeah, he didn't care. I made a statement. I was watching one thing that came up on my YouTube one time. And it was Tobey on Howard Stern. I think it was the beginning. I think it was before the second one. So only the first one was done. And Howard was talking to him about his regimen and like getting in shape, and was saying just that, like you're big, you're built. And he was just like, yeah, a lot of stuff. He said that he was eating like 6 meals a day, working nonstop all day long, and just getting bulky and ripped. And then I believe, don't quote me on this because I don't have any references to go other than my memory, but I believe that later, just like what you said, later throughout the shooting, by the second movie, third movie, he mentioned that he absolutely hated the diet, hated the regimen, hated the working out, the exercise. It was taking a toll on him. He didn't want to do it anymore. And he just kind of said,
well, here's a bit of trivia for you, all right? So he was just before Spider-Man 2 came out, he was in another movie called Seabiscuit, and it's a great movie. I highly recommend it. But he injured himself pretty badly during the making of that movie, and it really fucked up his back. And there was speculation that he might have to pull out of Spider-Man 2, and he was going to be replaced by Jake Gyllenhaal.
Oh yeah, I remember.
But there was also rumors as well that he was actually negotiating his pay, his contract, trying to get more money. But in the end, yeah, he showed up, and there's a little inside joke in Spider-Man 2 when he tries to get his powers back, and then he falls through the washing lines and whacks against the car, and he goes, because he starts off saying, I'm back, and then whack, and then he's like, my back.
My back.
And that was like a little inside joke.
Then. That could probably be a contribution to why he didn't exercise as much.
And I think I remember this, but back in the day, I used to listen to a bit of director's commentary, and they were saying that he was out of shape for the second film, and his back was an issue.
Oh, okay.
Oh man, mate, director's commentaries are. I'm listening to them all the time now. That's my thing. I'll watch the film and I'm like, all right, I'll rewatch that director's commentary. Yeah, because it's just fascinating, isn't it? And sometimes you watch a comedy and listen to it, and it's just hilarious as fuck. It's not even, they don't even talk about the film. They just talk about, it's like a podcast with the actors. It's basically fucking great. Yeah.
So yesterday we were talking about before, because we didn't get a chance to record because of connection issues, but we started briefly touching up on the games, the video games. So what was your first experience? Yeah. What was your first experience with the Spider-Man games?
Oh man, my first experience, I believe my first experience with the Spider-Man games, I think was in it was in the 90s. It was with Maximum Carnage, a game for I think it was on Nintendo too, but I had it for Genesis. Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage. It was like a side-scrolling beat 'em up style Spider-Man game where you could also play as Venom for the first time. And like I said earlier, like that's my favorite character. So I was like really stoked for that when I was a kid. And it also had this this game mechanic, much like Capcom versus Marvel. You guys ever play those fighting games? The
Long time ago,
Marvel series,
on the GameCube,
where you could summon another character in real quick, and they would like do a kick or something, and then they would leave, and you would continue fighting as the character you were. They had that in this game, but the characters that would come in and help real quick would be other Marvel characters, like also could be outside of Spider-Man itself. And this game was Maximum Carnage, so it was based off of, which is the main villain. The Carnage symbiote helps Cletus Cassidy get out of prison. It's actually extremely comic. It's like literally ripped exactly the story from the comics, and they just put it into format, and that's why it also did really, really well with comic fans. They team up with Shriek, another symbiote, and they find this I don't know if you guys remember this. This is like going way back. I haven't seen this character since I was a kid, but there was a Spider-Man character called Doppelganger, and he was an actual like a clone of Spider-Man, an evil clone, and he actually had 6 arms. He had 2 legs, but he also had 6 arms. Does that ring a bell for you guys at all?
I'm not familiar with that one, no.
It's ringing a bell from the cartoons.
Yeah, it was in the cartoons, I believe, too. And the only reason I really remember it is from this game, but my dad had gotten me a toy. He got me a toy of it back in the day. And I remember, I have this memory as a kid of playing with the toy, but never knowing, like, what is this? Like, I've never seen this before. I don't even know who this character is. I just have this weird, vague memory of it. But that character is also in that game. And I think that's really cool back on it now as an adult, as I'm an adult, because you don't see that character at all in like anything anymore. I don't see anybody ever talking about him or anything, but they team up, all these villains team up, and you got to battle Spider-Man and Venom, and you're Spider-Man and Venom. And that game is absolutely awesome. I recommend it for everybody just to get some nostalgia. It's awesome.
This is a bit of a segue, right? But the doppelganger, do you know the Big Bang Theory? I know it's cheesy now, but like, there's an episode in series 1 where Sheldon dresses up for Halloween as the Doppler effect. And he's just going around.
I've heard of it.
I can't remember the shirt he's wearing, but he's just going, meow.
Yeah.
It's a scientific term for like the speed. I don't know what the Doppler effect is, but it's just fucking funny. Anyway, that's what the doppelganger reminds me of.
Yeah,
that villain. I wish the 90s Spider-Man cartoons and the 90s Batman cartoons are fucking. They're awesome, man.
Fox Kids, wasn't it?
Oh
yeah. Some of the best shit I've ever watched in my life. Like that and the Jackie Chan cartoon.
Do you know what's funny?
That was good.
They originally in the cartoon they had real guns. Well, not real guns, but it was meant to be like imitations of guns. But they had to change it to lasers to sort of kind of discourage guns in comics.
Because I remember Kingpin being a really big part of the cartoon. Like he was always Spider-Man's
A lot of people
main
don't know
protagonist.
that. Yeah. Exactly. A lot of people think it's just Daredevil, but he was actually first introduced in Spider.
Yeah, it's crazy. I love Kingpin.
What was your experience playing the PlayStation, the Neversoft? Is it Activision or Neversoft?
Which one? The PS1 one?
Activision
Yeah.
and
Very first one,
Neversoft. Yeah.
Neversoft,
the
100%.
first 2000s Spider-Man games, the first 2000 Spider-Man games. Yeah, it's when Activision took over, and I believe Neversoft was a part of Activision, so it's technically both of them, but Neversoft are the actual developers.
It's a hell of a work ethic, because simultaneously they were doing Spider-Man and they were doing Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, they're responsible for the Tony Hawk games, which are classic, man.
And that's why you get Spider-Man as an unlockable player in Tony Hawk 2.
Yeah, I remember that, dude. Those games were revolutionary. The Tony Hawk but the Spider-Man one, they're revolutionary, man. Like being able to finally see more so, I mean, for what it was at the time. There's things that we can look back and pick apart now, but for what it was at the time, like finally being in a more so like open world set, surrounded by actual buildings that were more reminiscent of like New York, and they were actually tall buildings that you could scale, you could crawl up, you could swing and do all of those things. Like it was revolutionary for the time. The wide maps, all that stuff. It even had like cutscenes for the first time, voice acting. There was even narration by Stan Lee.
Yes, Stan Lee.
Yeah.
But
that was awesome.
You could only swing twice. I remember that much. But if you played around with it enough, you could get a few more swings out of it. I remember the second game with Electro, Enter Electro, I think it was called. And the second level was a street level. And I remember just being blown away by that. I'd never seen anything like it before. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And
I remember all those.
I think it was around 2002. I'm going through, I'm in town, and I come across this market stall which sold recent video games and consoles, and they had Spider-Man the movie adaptation on the GameCube.
Yeah,
and they let me play it for a little bit, and I was blown away. I was like, no way, this is next level. And I finally got it for Christmas, and I had so much fun. I remember the cutscenes of like, I was like, Uncle Brian, look at these graphics. He's like, whoa.
Yeah. Yeah. The only thing is when you would swing and stuff, it wouldn't attach to the buildings. It would just like attach clouds or like the hands of the gods. Like the gods are just putting out hands for you to swing to. Like, what's going on there, you know?
So the people who made that game, they said that they weren't satisfied with the swinging mechanics. So one of the guys built a prototype, but it was too late in development to introduce it into the first game. So he kept it and refined it for the second game. And then that's what you get.
Legend.
And then I came across a video on YouTube about a year ago where a guy reaches out to this programmer to see what he thinks of the current PS4 Spider-Man game. And he's playing it, and he's like, wow. And he starts giving a little history about what it was like developing the swing mechanic for
that's really
Spider-Man
cool.
2.
Wow. I remember in the 2000s, you guys remember those, you guys remember any of the wrestling games in the early 2000s?
Yeah.
Here comes the pain.
Whether it be WWE,
I'll let Sean do the talking on this one. Go for it, man.
Which ones? Like the PS2 ones, PS1 ones? I don't know. I go up to verse Rule 2007, and I'm done after that.
Did you have a Nintendo 64?
Oh, yeah. At some point in my life, I did. Yeah.
I mean, they were also on the PlayStation 1, just like in the early 2000s, like the ways that they looked. They're kind of like short with like semi big heads, and they were all kind of.
They always made sure the fucking upper body was buffer than everything else.
Yeah, they're always like that, and like the faces were kind of like scrunched up. They're like Kim Kardashian when she cries, you know, always like this. Like that's.
I want you in a cage match.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how the first 2000 Spider-Man game kind of looked. The cutscenes and everything. That's how those characters look.
That's
almost
how
like
all PS1 games look, though. Just
style as well.
Scrunched up. But Max Payne had an actual a photographed face on it, which is mad. That guy, if you look that guy up, it looks mental. You can't take that guy seriously. Yeah. Just looks like Max Payne.
They tried that in GoldenEye, the video game. They would get like all the people, the developers and all that, and just fucking post
photo.
Yeah. You know, it's funny. I was playing, I don't want to go off topic too much, but just real quickly, I was playing Tony Hawk's Underground a couple of months ago on my GameCube. I bought one about a year or two ago on eBay. And it says that you can upload this is for the PlayStation 2 version. So I'm playing Tony Hawk's Underground, and it says, with the eye toy, you can take a photograph of your face and put it on there. Just go on www.blah. I'm like, there's no way that website still exists.
Did you check?
I didn't even check, but I just, in my head, I fantasized about.
Why the hell would you just leave yourself hanging like that?
Because I didn't have an eye toy.
I wonder if this website exists. Oh well.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny. I remember that though. I totally forgot that you could do things like that.
Here's another here's another one that's just popped in my head, right? So obviously Nintendo is the ones that were the publishers of GoldenEye. And obviously they're always, even then, they're always constantly trying to gear towards that child-friendly consumerism. And they said to one of the devs of Rareware, they said, shouldn't we think that, and this is from Japan, they're saying, we think that at the end of each level, they should all shake hands with the people they killed.
Yes, I've heard of this. Didn't people laugh in that meeting? I swear I heard people say that they laughed in that meeting. I don't know if that's just hearsay, you know, people just making things up as it went on.
I would have laughed pretty fucking hard if that got said.
With Perfect Dark, they were using the transfer pack or the Game Boy Color, whatever it was. You could take photographs from your Game Boy and put it on the characters' faces, but they decided not to because of fucking Columbine.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I took a picture of my face for like FIFA 12 or something. I don't know. It was like they introduced the game face. I took a picture of my face and I put it in the game, and I had my character running around like, hey, it was fucking hilarious. Totally took the realism of the game.
I miss those days. I wonder if there's any games today that you can do that with.
NBA does it
easier now too. NBA games do it. I don't play very many sports games these days.
Speaking of defunct websites, you know, I found a DVD for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire interactive game. And it says, if you win this game, send it into your local supermarket and get £20. I was like,
oh wow.
Well, if I did that now, they'd tell me to go fuck myself.
Yeah, they would. Yeah, they look at you like you're crazy.
It's like 90s.
Oh, it's like the early 2000s or something like that. Chris Tarrant, like, well, yeah, bad luck.
That's hilarious.
Can you just cheat that?
That's hilarious.
I remember I had this. I'm totally about to fucking incriminate myself here, but we had this horse racing game. Like, I had a DVD with it, and obviously you get the family around, and like you put the horse racing DVD on, put bets on, then the winner. I just watched it one day and just fucking wrote all the names down that won. Obviously, I lost a couple to make it look like I wasn't like cheating.
Yeah,
I just fucked the whole family. I was like, yeah, fun.
Oh, man.
Sorry,
coming out the champion, man.
Yeah, that's cool. So going back to Spider-Man, I was saying yesterday, right, that I was every month without fail, I would always get the Nintendo magazine. There was 3 Nintendo magazines. Mate. There was the official.
I'd make my mum go broke and get the Nintendo, the Xbox. I wouldn't get the PlayStation, but them two, and they were expensive. They weren't cheap. You know, what I mean,
$5.99. You know, this is like
what I'm saying.
$8 in your money. And you know, there was the official Nintendo magazine, and then about a week later, you had the NGC, which was the unofficial, and then there was the GCN, which was the unofficial.
The fucking underground, fucking.
Well, because there were some games that you wanted to know more about, so it's like I'd get a week later, I'll get another one, and then a week later, I'll get the third one, and so I think so. I remember this was 2003, and I get the magazine, and I see the first pictures of the Spider-Man 2 video game. And it's Spider-Man running alongside a taxi cab. And, you know, to this day, I try to explain to my nephew, who's only 12 years old. I was like, up until then, you could never touch the floor in a Spider-Man game. It was not open world. It didn't exist. And for me to see that picture, I had to wait 9-10 months for that game to come out. And every month I'm just looking for more pictures. I'm going through all sorts of unofficial, you know, rags to find pictures, because that's what I do. I didn't have the internet. I just stare at pictures and fantasize.
We'd have the internet in like school and stuff.
Yeah, we get blocked because
we're in that like middle ground of like
our
the internet's coming through, but it's still not quite there. It's still a level of like information and shit nowadays.
When we were in school, this is like 2004, 2005. In school, we had like the IT department would oversee, so you'd have to log into the intranet. Yeah. It was a bit like North Korea. And if they saw you going on too many non-relevant school things, they would block you, and you'd have to do the walk of shame.
I was on the Cartoon Network website one day playing the little mini games, and I think, this is Cartoon Network, this is innocent. And I got told off. I got made to look like a fool in front of everyone.
So you had to do the walk of shame to the IT department, and then you say, "Can you unblock me, please?" Like, and they'd be going through your whole web browser, and they'd be like, "This is totally inappropriate. Stop doing it."
Spider-Man,
that's crazy.
Mary Jane naked. What's this?
Crazy.
Mary Jane, get your tits out, man.
that reminds me, like you talking about is the magazines and everything, getting all the magazines. That reminds me of like back in the days too, when you would get the actual games and the in the boxes and everything, and they would come with like the game manuals, booklets and everything. Like kids these days have no idea, man. I would, yeah, and then posters and everything. I would and sometimes you would even get extra game demos. You would get them with the magazines, and you would get them with the actual game sometimes too. You would get a separate CD or something, cartridge, whatever it may be, with the game demo. But anyway, the manuals, I would read those manuals in and out. Like I would read, I would like read everything. Like I'd read the controls, I'd read the stories, and that's another thing is there would be in those manuals, for those that may or may not know, this is like super throwback right here. There would be things in the story of those manuals that weren't in the game, that weren't in the games themselves. So you would like learn extra things about characters or side characters, backstories, and this and that would only be in that manual, ever be in the game. And if you didn't read that manual, you would just never have that knowledge. Yeah. There'd be all kinds of stuff, right?
Information about Cortana, Master Chief, Captain Keys. That wouldn't be in the fucking game.
That's one reason. One game influenced me massively as a writer, because I'm really big on show, don't tell, and the best ways to push exposition into a story without making it look like exposition. And one of the things that inspired me early on was the GameCube game Metroid Prime.
Oh yeah,
because you would, there was very little narrative, but the character had a scanner, so you could scan things to get little bits of information here and there from logs and this that, and the other. And I thought it was very, oh shit, nearly knocked my mic. It was very enticing. It described something that had already happened, the cause of death, and it's quite creepy. Like, wow, you're learning how these people died. You're already there before. It's like that had a massive impact. That lore that was hidden, and I give credit to the programmers and the game designers and all that to really put the effort to do that, because they didn't need to do that. Little
Easter eggs, little things like that, little tidbits of information. Those things are awesome.
I always tell them to play Mass Effect. You ain't played Mass Effect yet. That's fucking great storytelling, great lore.
Yeah, and it just, I love that. It kind of entices your imagination. You think you kind of build an idea in a scenario in your head. All you're reading is the text. Oh, the cause of death was abdominal internal bleeding. You think, what could have caused that?
Yeah.
And it's the enemy as well. Like, especially in Halo as well. Like, you see that the Covenant are laying there dead, or when the Flood first entered the game, and why are they running away, and why are they cowering behind it, and then the Flood come into it, and you're like, wow, that's how you introduce an antagonist like that. I don't know how familiar you are with Halo, but the Flood was frightening.
Yeah, no, I'm a Halo fan. I was a giant Halo fan for Halo 1, Halo 2. I think it was Halo 3. I don't remember the timeline, but when Gears of War came out. But when Gears of War came out, man, that just caught so much of my attention that I kind of veered over to War and became like a giant Gears of War fan. And I stopped playing Halo as much. And it wasn't until later in life that I kind of went back and like learned more about Halo again, because I had missed a whole bunch of games. And then I got the Master Chief Collection not too long ago, like when it came out, started replaying them a little bit more. But there's still stuff that I could definitely go back. There's a huge chunk of Halo that I'm missing, unfortunately. But I'm playing Halo Infinite right now like crazy.
Yeah, Sean's playing it as well. Like, when he gets back, I'll mention it to him, because he's fallen in love with it.
Yeah, I haven't started campaign yet, though. I'm just playing multiplayer.
Right. Yeah. I tell you, I got the Xbox 360 on launch, and I remember having that 20 gigabyte hard drive and downloading demos and downloading E3 trailers. I remember watching the Halo 3 trailer. I downloaded it on my hard drive, and even to this day I'll still watch it just for that nostalgia, to remember how it felt. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah. Remember I sent you a message.
You sent me a message.
Sent you a message on the 360 dashboard. Download it. It's like a weekly series on the 360. These two guys just sit on a couch and answer questions from.
I don't
remember that. Yeah. No, I don't remember.
No, well, I was telling Dan, one of the guys who used to do it, got back to me on Twitter. He just wants to do the podcast, and I don't know where I was going with this, but yeah, it's just one of those videos you download on the 360 every week. So, and were we talking about Halo? I don't know.
We just
mentioned it. Yeah,
we just talk about Halo Infinite. I haven't played it yet, but it's like basically a sandbox version of Halo, isn't it?
I don't know, but I'm bumming it at the minute. I'm really fucking.
It's open world Halo, isn't it?
Yeah,
Have you started the campaign, or are you just playing the?
Yeah, I've nearly completed the campaign. I'm just enjoying like, because you can't get vehicles and stuff like that. I love the grappling hook, and I'm just marking a destination and just fucking grappling my way around the map. Like, I love it.
Yeah, the grappling hook is dope. Yeah.
And the gunplay is awesome. Like,
Pain, I really want to. The what?
The gunplay is really good on it. Like,
oh yeah.
It's just satisfying when you Master Chief just wiping out an entire little destination and because it's like, how to describe it? Like, you played the Lord of the Rings games, the Shadow Mordor, and that.
Shadows. Yeah. I played the first one. I think I beat the first one. I didn't beat the second one though.
It's kind of like that. You go around capturing spots, like new areas, and then you get an area to unlock weapons and stuff, like a little base.
Oh wow, really?
And and then you can go around getting these calls to upgrade your equipment and shit. And then then you can do the main story when you want. And just maybe you can capture 3 UNC soldiers, stuff like that. It's pretty cool, man. And I've been playing it nonstop pretty much the past week.
I gotta get into that. Yeah,
and the story's really good. It's because I completed 4. I enjoyed it. 5, I was like, what is this shit? But Infinite story's really good, really good, and it's gone back to its roots.
They were supposed to bring out a Halo movie around 08, 09.
They need to do that as soon as possible.
Well, it didn't work.
Series now though. It
went into development hell and it ended up becoming District 9.
Oh, no way. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so that was basically it's quite very common in Hollywood. They reused the assets, so they'd already put so much plan in this, that, and the other. Neil
Blomkamp or something.
Yeah. So I can't remember. I think Steven Spielberg was like going to be the producer or something, and he sort of took this Neil under his wing, and he tried to get it sort of fell apart in pre-production. So he ended up taking on another project, which was District 9.
Oh wow!
No, but I mean, it didn't turn out bad.
I like District 9. Yeah,
awesome. And you can see the how the assets would be reused, can't you?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I do. I see a lot of things. Yeah.
Remember that trailer come out for Master Chief? So, is there? Don't tell me it's gonna be called District 10. Is it?
District 10, yeah. I mean, well, I don't know if that's what they're gonna go with officially, but that's what's being said.
And I heard that. I heard it's District 10. I was like,
it's been confirmed that it's happening. It's just a matter of
that's
when.
Cool, yeah, because it ends quite ambiguously, doesn't it?
Yeah.
With him just roaming around.
Right, yeah. People have been wanting a sequel to that movie for a long time, and just nothing.
I think why it works so well, because even though it was a sci-fi concept, which can be quite alienating to a mainstream audience, but because it was there was an allegory with the sort of apartheid treatment of Black South Africans.
Yeah.
During those decades, and people could put aside the sci-fi elements and just embrace it for what it was.
Yeah.
Here's a question for you both, actually. What's a film that doesn't need a sequel that should get a sequel?
Joker.
Oh man,
Joker.
That doesn't need one, right?
It doesn't need one.
Yeah, that just ends perfectly.
Agree. Actually, I agree. Because they're making a sequel, and it's being rumored that it might be a trilogy.
Don't say that. It doesn't work.
Yep, it's another.
But you want it. You fucking want it.
Yeah, I want it, but it doesn't mean I should have it. you know?
I don't think it needs one. That's got to be pick as well. Actually, I can't think of another one, a really good one like that off the top of my head right now. But Joker's
it's
one.
A hard one.
It's
a
hard one.
Dread.
Yeah. I agree instantly.
Yep.
We need a sequel for that movie, please, for the love of God. It's a fucking good film. Listen to the people.
Yeah.
No, listen to the fucking people for what's in life. And make a Resident Evil film that is exactly word for word verbatim like the original game.
We made a joke about this. I said they should do a perfect adaptation of Resident Evil, even with the tank controls. Just the first 10 minutes is someone trying to figure out how to walk in a straight line.
Just someone turning around. Turn around to
That
the
would be
camera, see
perfect.
Jill's boobs jiggling.
Yeah.
The IT
guys
guy at our
see
school was
the,
just like, what is this? www.blackcatscleavage.com.
Yeah. Did you guys see the recent Resident Evil? No, I didn't see it, but
I refuse.
one of my
man.
friends saw it.
I
He said it
refuse.
is absolutely horrible. It's absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
It's
I
not even worth
refuse.
your time.
We had I think maybe a month ago now. We had a guy from my hometown that raps and stuff, and he's a big Resident Evil fan. And he was like, "We're talking about it," and I was like, I didn't want to deter him from going to watch it because he was going to the cinema that night, and I was like, "Mate, come on, like, do the maths here, like." You seen the trailer, like, I was just trying to, and he messaged me as soon as he got home. He was like, "Yeah, it's crap."
You never told me that.
Yeah, I sent it a screenshot.
That's good. I believe you did.
Yeah,
I was like,
absolutely horrible.
All right.
I was like,
you know what? This is going way back to something we said earlier. We're talking about how we were the hybrid generation that sort of grew up into the modern era, but the digital era. But we got to see superhero movies before the cinematic universes, but there were little hints of cinematic universes that we got a taste of, like Alien versus Predator and Freddy versus Jason. And maybe not so much Alien versus Predator, but I've got a special place in my heart for Freddy versus Jason.
Me too.
100%.
Me too, man. Yes.
And I'm just like,
it works.
Loved
that movie, man.
It works, and I'm glad it did well.
Yeah,
it does work.
I don't understand why they haven't done more horror movies, whether it be a shared universe, a connected universe, whatever you want to call it, a multiverse, whatever it is that you want to call it, whether it's connected or not. It's just, how come they haven't done another Freddy versus Jason?
They need to. They left it open for a sequel at the end, didn't they? Freddy Wings.
Yeah, they did, exactly. Or anybody, really. I mean, it could be this horror villain versus this horror villain versus this one. Like, I don't understand why they haven't done any mashups with horror villains, or why they haven't done any sort of shared universe with horror villains.
I think it's going to happen because
not really supernatural fucking Doctor Strange, is it? Like,
you saw the failure of the Universal cinematic universe. They tried it with the Mummy. They tried it with the Mummy.
But watched that movie.
I haven't seen it.
Really bad.
Well,
I didn't watch it.
I love watching the IMAX.
If it hasn't got Brendan Fraser in it, I ain't watching it.
Well, the IMAX trailer of the Mummy 2017 was released, and the audio was all messed up, and it is. I won't even give it away. It is fucking hilarious. The fact that this played in a cinema, like someone
never paid attention.
Yeah, just watch
the
trailer. Just put in Mummy, the Mummy 2017 missing audio trailer. It is so funny.
I've never paid attention.
Universal brought out The Invisible Man, so it was a much smaller budget. We're talking $9 million, and it was a success. So I think they've found their footing now. So you're going to start seeing the cinematic universe with these characters: Frankenstein, Invisible Man, the Mummy.
Yeah, no, that was
that doesn't interest me.
That was the one with it doesn't. It does. It depends. But isn't that more?
So like the MonsterVerse.
The MonsterVerse. That's still not technically horror, though. Like, they're not going to include Jason, Freddy, Michael, Leatherface, et cetera, in that universe.
The guy who's got the rights to Jason, like Friday the 13th, is a cunt, man. He does not want to give his the rights to Freddy or Jason. You see the game. The game is brilliant, but they can't do anything with it at the minute because the guy's like, no, it's mine.
The recent one.
Who's this guy? So I don't know.
I don't know his name. They're in a battle. Is it really?
Yeah, I believe this. It's kind of like it's like Dead by it's like Dead by Daylight, right? If you do you know that game, Dead by Daylight? You heard of that? Where it's
I think that's why they made Dead by Daylight, because the guy from Friday the 13th's been such a douche.
Yeah, and
I don't know his name, and I don't know the exact story, but because I don't want to fucking sit here and trash the guy if I don't know the exact story, but something like that. There's some copyright issue with Friday the 13th rights and stuff. After the they made the remake after 2009. After that, it got muddled up somewhere along the line.
Development hell. Yeah, I said this before on several episodes of my podcast, and one of the it's not like recent, but it's one of the more so recent ones where I said earlier we did like a or I don't even know if I said it. I'm not sure. I think we were talking about something else. We went off on a tangent, but we did a horror movie bracket before, and then we also did a horror villain bracket The movie one was just like dope movies going against each other as a whole, the movie. And then another bracket that we had done was the villain, just the characters going up against the characters, who would win. And during that bracket, it sparked the whole conversation of what we're kind of right now. Like, why isn't there a shared universe where Leatherface exists in the same, it doesn't even have to be like the exact same like area or place. It could just the world as a whole, like, because Leatherface, for instance, is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It's in Texas. And then Michael Myers, that was originally in what Haddon, is it Illinois or Indiana or
Michael
something
Myers,
like that? I don't know.
Haddonfield,
Michael
Texas,
Myers?
is it not? Haddonfield. It's Haddonfield. I don't know where Haddonfield is.
I don't know field is either. It's like Iowa, Idaho, Illinois, one of those I's. I have no idea. I don't even know. I live here. I have no idea.
Kansas.
I don't know anything about America.
Why is Kansas and Arkansas is Arkansas? No one knows.
All right, who do you think?
I don't know, man.
I have a question for you. Right, here's a match off for you. Alien versus Danny Glover.
Danny Glover takes it for sure.
Every time, man. Every time.
Yeah. Oh, I got a question for you guys, since we're kind of on Alien. You mentioned Alien versus Predator earlier too. I know we're going off on like several tangents, but what do you guys feel about Disney now has the rights to Predator, and a new Predator movie is coming out under the Disney umbrella?
Well, I can answer your question kind of. When I was 17, being an aspiring writer, I wrote a script for Predator 3 because Predators hadn't come out yet. And it all took place in the Afghan compound. And it was about the characters. It was a character-driven story about the soldier himself. And it's sort of going back and forth between flashbacks of how fucked up his life is and him up against this predator in a compound. Because
it sounds dope than what I think is going to happen in a Disney Predator movie. But keep going.
Well, the thing was is that well, this is a funny story actually, but so I'm 17 at the time. I'm just full of ambition, but no realistic sort of mindset. And I was Predator 2 really kind of inspired me in a way that it had nothing to do with the original creators, but the team behind it was so passionate that they really tried to do their best with it. And I love Predator 2 so much. I love how they expanded on the Predator lore without really doing a disservice. You know, added the extra visions. It added the sort of motivations of the Predator and its morals as a sportsman. It wouldn't go near pregnant women. It wouldn't go near children. It wouldn't go near unarmed individuals. It would only go after what it considered to be good sport. That's why it collected the trophies. And I also found it fascinating the fact that the film came out in 1990, and they sort of predicted that in 1997, the year it takes place, there was good climate change was out of control, so everything got hotter, and the Predator was attracted to hot climates. So that's why I wrote that. I wrote it in that sort of Afghan setting in 2012, which was the future at the time, because I wrote this in 2009.
Right. And
I went on this like Quora website or something like that at that time, like Yahoo Answers. And I just said, hey guys, I've got this script for Predator 3. Like, what should I do? And I got torn to pieces.
Oh, that sucks though, man. That's cool though.
People on the internet at that time were fucking idiot. Like, I know what I was like. You used to get in YouTube comment arguments like on your page. People could comment on your YouTube page back in the day. I used to have I had this beef with some ginger woman.
I remember.
We'll just like post comments on each other's YouTube page, like "fuck you," bit. I don't know. I was young and dumb.
But I don't know much about, because I mean, I like the fact that obviously, not like the fact, but you know, I don't think Fox was doing anything with the current incarnation of or iteration of Alien, even though Ridley Scott was back on board. He'd done the most recent 2 Alien films, and he was meant to be doing a part 3 that would kind of answer more of the questions. But then Fox got what's the word? Acquired by Disney.
Acquired.
And I don't think Fox was going to be doing anything with it because it didn't make enough money. So I'm hoping Disney does do something with Alien, but who knows what quality it's going to be.
It's got a release date for summer 2022, and this reads set in the world of the Comanche. Is that how you say it, right? Do you guys know Comanche Nation? Yeah, making sure I'm saying it right. Comanche Nation, 300 years ago, The action thriller follows Naru, the skilled warrior who fiercely protects her tribe against a highly evolved alien predator. No.
Well, what I'll say is Disney doing series
it's a reboot, by the way.
Well, reboot.
Yeah.
They start things off well, and then I think they just stop giving a shit. Like, they're like, oh, that did well.
Yeah.
People will come back anyway, so let's just fucking churn this shit out, like the Star Wars films and like everything they're doing now.
A lot of people that I spoke to were worried because it's Disney attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, how can you make a Predator with the name Disney attached to it? Like, how Predator is it going to really be?
And how purple is its hair going to be? You know, he only go like they changed the morals of the predator. Instead of not going after pregnant people and children, or it no longer goes after. It only goes after right-wing conservatives.
Exactly.
It shows up at Trump. They should. I'm going to rewrite my Predator script. I'm going to rewrite it and go back on Yahoo Answers and reply to that guy like 13 years later.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm gonna.
Fuck you, dude.
I got this new.
I have a published book.
I got this new script for Predator 3, and it takes place at a Trump rally. And it all breaks out between the Trump supporters and the Democrats and all that. And, you know, it's to be carnage, you know what I mean? And the Predator goes through this whole identity politics. It kind of goes through this existential crisis, and it thinks, who am I? What, you know, the Predator back on Predator Planet, they had the same shit going on over there. But like, we don't want to make the same mistakes on Earth. I don't know. I'm just fucking around. I'm improv.
It said that the 10 Cloverfield Lane director is going to be directing it.
Yeah.
That was all right. That was an all right film, that was.
Will I have John Goodman play the Predator, you reckon?
I know, right?
No, they can't.
Like that movie?
Predator versus John Goodman.
John Goodman.
John Goodman's a great actor, but everything he touches turns to shit. It's the box office dog shit.
Yeah, look at him in Coyote. Yeah.
Cloverfield, Big Lebowski, everything.
You guys like
10 Cloverfield Lane?
No, go ahead. Yeah, 10 Cloverfield Lane. Did you like that one?
I enjoyed it.
I just know that John Goodman's in it.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I liked him playing more so.
It's a different like twist to the Cloverfield like story, but I enjoyed it.
I enjoyed it was, yeah. I liked it. I think it got shit on. I don't think very many people liked it, but I could be wrong about that. I may be thinking about
that's when you know a film's good, is when like the majority hate it.
Yeah,
that's.
I think
sometimes
the
movies are just generally shit, right? But like normally,
yeah,
if the majority of an audience hates a film, people think it's subjective. Like a film that's slow and gets good character build up, that's just automatically dismissed because it's slow.
Yeah,
you know, and I really enjoy that because the character builds up and then it builds up to, you know, and then you give a shit what happens. Then you don't, you know what I mean? Yeah. Films that just jump straight into the action and don't have that, you're like supposed to get to know a character off like his middle name, you know, it's like idiot.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I write. That's why when like me and Dan, I think we're the same. Like we write our stories based on the characters, not the story. You know.
Yeah, we're big fans. Right. Like, you know, we like big concepts, but the concept always, and you know, if you ever buy a copy of my book when it's out, you'll see for yourself that get it, man. You know, there is a lot of grandiose stuff in the background, but it's never really the center of the story. It's just happening in conversations. It's happening in passing dialogue. It really, the focus is the character in this world in a sort of hopeless situation, and that's always what's fascinating me. The character itself, always. And that's just how I am. You know,
that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's awesome.
I'm trying to think of good examples of real good character developments in a sort of where the situation is big around them. I mean, Phone Booth, for example. You know,
I can like. Have you ever seen Lost?
Yeah. Oh, I love Lost.
Don't spoil anything. Don't spoil anything. But that's a prime example of the character. Something big happening around them, but the characters get the attention. You know, like.
Yes. Okay. You are 100% correct. Yeah. For anybody, that brings it full circle right there.
We're going to be watching.
Lost is a perfect example. You would probably really like Lost.
Well, here's what we're doing. We're going to be doing a first time reacts in a couple of months with me watching Lost. So.
Oh, not so confused for so long.
Yeah, I'll be like, huh?
It's a crazy show, man. It's crazy.
I know, I'm excited. I am excited, and I'm glad that it's taken me this long. There's so many things, like, because I'm well versed on a lot of things, but there's so many other things that I've missed out on, and I'm looking forward to doing this first time reacts because people are gonna be like, "Really? You've never seen this?" I'm like, "Swear to God."
Yeah, and how long ago did Lost come out? 10 plus years ago, right?
2004, the first season.
Wow, that's crazy.
It was crazy as well about not even just Lost, but I'm more familiar with like 24, for example. Those things came out once a week.
Yeah.
And it took 6 months to consume. So something as complicated as Lost. My uncle
and Lost ended in 2010.
Yeah.
So
well, my uncle said he tapped out on Lost because he hasn't got.
A lot of people did.
He only tapped out because he said if he missed one episode, he was fucked.
Oh yeah.
That's true.
Now in the days of streaming and everything, it's much easier.
There's a few episodes where they're standalone, like not kind of filler, but not really. But you can miss them episodes. But really, in the long scheme of things, you can't miss a single beat.
My problem is I'm not a big fan of the conventional 22 episode season. You know, I'm more in favor of the Netflix 10 episode season.
Right. When did that really became a bigger thing for the streaming era though? Shorter.
We got to think as well. A season back in the day was 6 months, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Because that's 22 weeks, and there's 52 weeks in a year, so that's nearly.
The Walking Dead take the piss now. Where like they do 16, but they split it in half. It's like, why just do the whole thing? The fuck.
Yeah, because I just got done watching the Seinfeld series for like the 20th time.
I'm gonna start watching that. I'm gonna watch again first time, so I might do another first time reacts as well to that one.
It's very it's
because I've never seen Seinfeld.
Its own world. Yeah,
we'll do it together.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Seinfeld too.
Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Oh, I guess that would be a good comparison then.
Because I fucking really enjoy that. So I'm guessing I will like Seinfeld.
Same creators, same writers. Yeah. So I rewatched Seinfeld just recently again for like I don't even know how many times. I've always watched it. And I noticed it was like 22 episodes a season, 24 episodes a season. Like they're really long.
Here's a question
20
for you
minutes
then.
though. That's different, isn't it? Like with the longest series, it's like 40 minutes.
Short.
Here's a question for you then. Yeah. Name a series back in the day that you absolutely loved that only ran for one season.
Oh,
Firefly.
Oh, that's a good
was that
one.
two?
Oh man, I know there's
one. Firefly one season? Yeah, Firefly. I got one season and a film a couple years later.
I have one. What's it called? It's not, I don't know if it's so much really back in the day. It depends on what you define as back in the day. I don't remember when exactly it was. I believe it was thousands, but it could be even earlier. But there was this series based off, I believe it was a movie too, but I actually never saw the movie, called Frequency.
That rings a bell. When I say back in the day, I mean pre-Netflix is what I mean.
Yeah, so
I think it was pre-Netflix. I could be wrong about this, but I know I didn't watch it on Netflix, so I don't know where I watched it. But it was a show, and it's called Frequency, and it was really cool. And it only got one season. It got canceled, and I thought it was like I have no idea why it got canceled. I never really looked too into it, but I thought it was a really good show, and I don't know if like it was an audience reception thing, but I thought it was really good.
Yeah. One I can
Firefly,
think of. I need to watch
too, actually.
I got to watch it again because it's been so long, but it was called Total Recall 2070.
Oh.
And it was a sort of hybrid of Blade Runner and Total Recall. It was a Canadian series that came out in the late 90s. And it only ran for one season because it didn't find its audience until later into the season. But by then the executives pulled the plug on it, and it was so ambitious.
Oh, wow. Speaking of Total Recall, did you guys like the remake?
It's a funny story. So 2012 was an interesting year because I got myself one of these, we have a place called Cineworld. It's basically your version of AMC. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, AMC out here. Yeah.
It's like basically that in England. And I got myself an unlimited pass. So I paid like £15 a month and I could watch whatever I wanted to. And one of them happened to be, and I got it, and you get to watch things like 3 days before they're available to the general public, and Total Recall was one of them. And in terms of like world building and set design, it was beautiful. But Total Recall original, because Paul Verhoeven at his finest, and Paul Verhoeven is just something else. I mean, you look at RoboCop, Total Recall, Starship Troopers, Showgirls, maybe. No. There's another show. It's not a there's another show. It's not it didn't get canceled after one season, but I've always wanted to talk about this, but nobody knows what I'm talking about. The average person out here doesn't know what I'm talking about because it's a UK show. So this is like the perfect time. Being you guys are from the UK.
Imagine we don't know.
I know, right? It's gonna suck if you don't. Misfits.
Yes.
Yeah, it was on.
Oh man, I could talk about that all day.
It's like 4 seasons though, right?
5 seasons.
It did
5
seasons. Yeah, 5. Is it Channel 4, E4 or something
Channel
like
4.
that?
Well, Channel 4.
One of the fours.
So Channel 4 is the OG channel, and E4 was like.
I think it aired on Channel 4 and then it moved to E4.
Yeah, Channel 4 is like the sort of older demographic. E4 was the younger demographic.
because Lost aired on Channel 4, then moved to Sky One when it got more popular.
That's different though. Sky One's like a
I know. I'm just.
Fuck Sky. Fuck Sky, by the way.
It was just another thing to bring up Lost again. I'm sorry.
Oh, wait, do you want to talk about Misfits? Because I'm happy to talk about
Misfits.
Misfits.
Let's go for it. I fucking love Misfits. I feel,
especially for Americans who don't know it, like I don't know. I don't know where it would be available here. I mean, I downloaded it.
Here's my overview of it. All right,
Americans would love that. Because everything's so big on superheroes and like abilities and things like that right now. We're living in that kind of world right now for cinema.
And it's so British. It's so fucking British.
Yes. And I love that. I love that. Being an American, I love it.
Here's my overview of Misfits for you, just to wrap up, and then we'll do a deep dive on it. Season 1, excellent. Season 2, amazing. Season 3, good. And then 4 and 5, I don't really care too much for.
It started. I love Robert Sheehan. He's a great actor in my opinion. I really love him. He was Nathan. Was it Nathan? Was he
Nathan? Yeah. As soon as Nathan's not in it, that show was ruined.
Yeah, it went down. I mean, Rudy did a good job kind of repling it, being that comedic effect.
Funny, but
there is one scene. Can I just say this real quickly? There's one scene that kills me every time, right? So it's when Rudy, his power is that he has his insecurities creates a second personality, but then it reveals that he has a third personality that is basically anger and hatred that's in prison, and he gets let out and he gets given a curly whirly as one of his items. And the curly whirly is like a pretty popular chocolate in this country, and he goes up to the real Rudy and he says, "Take the curly whirly." And he's like, "Don't want it." He goes, "Take the fucking curly whirly," and he spits as he says it, and it kills me every time. Yeah, there's a clip for you, Sean.
I love that show. They're always eating that ice cream on that show. I don't even remember what it's called out here right now, but it's called something different out there for you guys.
Ben and Jerry's Haagen-Dazs. I don't know.
No, they're eating
the ice cream. But you know what always stuck with me? Man. One of the most inspiring things, because again, this was during the peak of my parkour days. This is when I was getting quite good at it. And they had a parkour stunt double for Super Hoodie. And it really inspired me. It made me think, I want to be a stunt double on that show. I never did. But, it still inspired me. And my favorite arc was the Future Simon and her name's not Kelly. Is it Kelly?
Yes.
Yeah, Kelly's the chubby one, isn't it?
Yeah. Alicia.
Alicia. Yes.
Yeah. Their arc is amazing. And the fact that she falls in love with the future version, and then you realize that he's done this so many times. It's like an endless loop.
Yes.
And then eventually, and she falls in love with and you can tell that they got Dark Knight inspired with the Simon's lair underneath the estate at the ceiling lights. And she falls in love with him. And because in the first season, you would never even imagine that Simon and Alicia would be a thing. But then you start to see it, and it's believable. It's believable.
Yes.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. Nathan, favorite character. Rudy was one of my favorites later, but Nathan was still my top favorite. I just love that show, and I don't understand.
That first season is like some of the best TV ever.
Well, if you ever want to know what happened to Nathan, there's a little 10-minute, 15-minute short of
I watched
Nathan.
it.
Oh, cool. Yeah, Nathan goes to Vegas and gets caught cheating. He gets given, what was his new power that he got given? Because what they done was after season 2, they get given new powers, don't they?
Swap power. They can swap. They go to the power swapper or whatever.
Simon gets given the ability to see a couple of minutes into the future. And that's how he becomes so good at parkour. He can see if he's going to make it or not.
Yeah, I remember that. Such a show, man. I don't know why. If maybe you guys know, why did it end? Do you guys know? Well,
the thing with Britain, right, with TV shows in the UK, especially pre-Netflix, something could be really popular and it would still take a year or two. Like, I'll give you an example, right? Our version of Ernest was Mr. Bean, right? We'll talk about Ernest afterwards, because I love the Ernest P. Worrell. Was that his name?
Yeah.
So Mr. Bean was a really, really popular show, but it would only come out sporadically. And over 5 years, there was something only like 12 episodes. And popularity didn't mean jack shit. It's just you got it when you got it. And
that's crazy.
And with Misfits,
Mr. Bean aired here too. I remember it airing, but it would air like late.
The thing with Misfits, it never technically got cancelled. They kind of wrapped it up after season 5. It kind of ran its course.
They just wrapped it up.
Yeah.
I just wanted more as a fan, as a viewer. I wanted more.
I know. They were going to do a movie, but it didn't work out.
No
And
way.
They missed their window, and then they just sort of left it.
Man, that would be awesome, dude.
And the rights to it have been sold to an American production company. So
it's probably when made.
Well, they tried it with the Inbetweeners and fucked it up. They tried it with Shameless and fucked it up. So
yep. I don't know if I want them to remake Misfits American Way, because I mean, for you guys it's probably more normal being you live there, but for someone like myself, like part of the awesomeness for me was that it was in a sense, if for lack of better words, it was kind of foreign in a sense. You know, it was like a lot of things that I didn't quite know, that I was learning through about the UK as well, through that series. And it was the
first sort of post Nolan superhero series.
Yeah. Great. I can't believe they missed the boat for a movie. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. Is your battery dying, Sean? Because we'll wrap it up soon. All right. We could go on all day, but we're gonna have to wrap up now. But before we finish, your favorite...
No, I got about 20 minutes.
Okay. Well, we got time for this one. This segment can go on for like 10, 15 minutes, but we always ask, most of the time we ask the guests their favorite movie and or TV show and or porno. No, I'm joking about
that. No one said their favorite porno yet. I don't know why.
Even Dave Sheridan was like,
No, not answering that one.
His wife or fiance is right next to him.
I know, she's probably don't fucking hang up.
No, if you guys ever tune into my podcast more, it's pretty outlandish, and I hold back, man. Like people in my friends, my real life,
you should.
I hold back for certain reasons and for certain promotional reasons and some things that I got in the works. But man, if I was bigger, more reins, oh my God, the things that I would do, the things that I do in my
we had a comedian on, right? And she said to us, just do it now while your audience is small. Fuck it.
Yeah, we only got 350 subs, so anything
True.
goes.
It does work that way too. And then people are conditioned to it, like, oh, that's what it's about. That's who he is. That's what he's always done.
Because you got to think, right? I know we pump out content and maybe we're not as big as we should be, blah, blah, blah. But it just takes one fucking 2-second clip to just boom, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it could be something we're not even trying to be funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Stupid shit.
Yeah. Like I got one on my TikTok right now that's going viral off of like something that I really didn't even expect.
That's what I mean.
It wasn't planned. It was just me, being dumb, being stupid.
That's exactly it.
And that's the one.
You've just got to be you.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't put on an act. You just be you. Be honest to yourself. Just chat shit. Even if you fuck up, like it's still true to yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And people kind of like stuff like that. They like to see the raw content too.
Yeah.
You know, because of everything going on and where you fuck up. Because of everything going on in the world, I think authenticity is becoming more appreciated, and it's coming back in a big way.
Yeah, and I hope it comes back more. I don't like this world we live in where can't say anything in comedic ways. Everybody wants to get
it's coming to an end.
Somebody, it sucks.
It's coming to an end, I can promise you, because I'll tell you why. Here's an example, right? So Gina Carano gets fired from Star Wars.
I was so disappointed
but then
I thought that was dumb.
But then did you know what happened next? Ben Shapiro, who is the host of the Daily Wire, he's a political critic and all that, but he's a lawyer as well, and he's with Daily Wire, he's starting his own production company, TV, movies, and he hired Gina. He's hired Gina Carano. So that is the beginning of the end for the woke culture, because it's like, well, we'll make our own movies.
Yeah, man.
Wow, I didn't know that, dude.
Genius idea, man.
And Tim Cass is doing it as well.
Awesome. I didn't know that.
Tim Pool's doing it as well. And you know, because I've said this before many times on the podcast, but we are now stepping into the era of prosumerism. A prosumer is when a producer and a consumer become the same thing. And that's what we are. We are prosumers. Yeah. We started out as consumers, and we're going to become producers.
True. Yep.
We essentially already are producers, but on a bigger scale, hopefully.
Yeah. I don't. There's things that I don't like about that aspect of like where the audience controls so much. I feel like we control too much. I feel like production companies, I mean, anything, businesses in general, just have given it's advantage and a disadvantage. It's got its pros and its cons, but it's like I feel like we've given too much control to the audience to where it's like we can't just let things be. Like sometimes just let them be, or if you don't like something, just move along. but it's like people want to tear it apart now.
But again, it's dying on its ass. And, unfortunately, we're going into a 2-tier society, but so be it. At least we can then keep consuming and producing what we like, because there is an audience.
Yeah.
And, Ben Shapiro, Tim Pool, they have made that first step.
Yeah.
Because the audience is there and they want it and they'll get it.
Yeah. Wow. That's really cool. I'm going to look more into that. I did not know that.
Yeah. So anyway,
awesome.
Favorite porno? No, movie.
Favorite movie. All right. So if there's anything that your audience doesn't know about me, it's that I am indecisive as all hell. It's like a running joke on my podcast. Whenever I have guests on, whenever Juice comes back and we do anything where they ask me any questions, top 3s, top 10s, I am so indecisive. I have such a hard time. Favorite movie?
Or just something you strongly appreciate. Just something.
Or I'd say a favorite movie would be something you've watched more than 50 times.
I'll give you an example, right? This is not my favorite movie, but it's something I strongly admire, and it's Vice with Christian Bale. Now, I understand Republicans tore to pieces saying it wasn't accurate. I don't care if it's accurate. I'm not watching it as a biopic. I'm watching it as a post. What's his name? The guy who did all the Anchorman films and Step Brothers. What's his name? Not Judd Apatow. Oh fuck! It's gonna drive me nuts.
Fight? No.
Right, you carry on. I'm gonna.
I was gonna say something, but I'm so fucking high, I can't remember.
It's gonna drive me nuts, because as soon as I see his name, as soon as I see his name, I'm gonna be like, I fucking knew it. Right. He also did The Big Short.
Oh, it's kind of sounds familiar.
People who are watching this now are screaming. All 5 of them screaming right now. I say 5 because this is towards the end of the podcast.
Yeah. Smoking on, Sean?
Adam McKay.
I don't know. Someone's on my door. 2 seconds.
So Adam McKay, right? He did Step Brothers. He did Anchorman, but this is sort of like post comedy career.
Right.
And he did The Big Short, which was about the financial housing crisis, and the way that was executed was fucking brilliant. And same again with Vice. I'm not watching Vice as a biopic. I'm watching it as entertainment, and it's fucking brilliant. I'm watching a master actor give one of the best performances of his life. I don't care if it's not accurate, because afterwards, me being the way I am, I read the Bush and Cheney book. I know it's biased, so I was like, I'll take it with a pinch of salt. But Pain and Gain, I watched Pain and Gain. This is based on a true story. I know it's fucking really using that term loosely. I'm not watching it as a representation of a horrific murders that took place in Miami, Florida, or whatever.
Exactly.
I'm watching it because it's a fucking good film.
Yeah. They definitely exaggerated it.
Yeah.
Entertainment and a lot more comedy. I think that was actually one of the problems. Is a lot of people that were upset about it, and especially like families, victims, and everything. They came out and they said, you guys glorified these guys for entertainment purposes. You made them funny, comedic. People wanted to see more. You left audiences wanting more. They shouldn't want more. These guys that were brutally murdering people. It wasn't funny. But I mean, I hate to say it was a great movie.
Yeah, that's it. You know what? I don't see it as a true story. It's a film. It's made up, as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Same with Vice, predominantly made up.
Yeah. But it was a great movie. That's also one of my things. I'm kind of stalling a little bit, Sean, to come back to.
That's cool.
That's one of my things with that's a running thing on my podcast all the time too, is The Rock. I don't know how you guys feel or don't feel about The Rock. I feel like besides some movies, especially when he kind of first started, even though they were still kind of The Rock and there was a lot of wrestling references and action scenes, he still did like the rock bottom and stuff. But like, what's it called? Is it Walking Tall? And then what's that other one? Like Run something?
Yeah.
Or,
I mean, there's a distinctive line in that man's career that I've noticed, because obviously The Rock he started out with the Scorpion King, and then The Mummy Returns, and then he did these sort of mediocre movies, and then Fast Five came along, and then you saw a new version of The Rock where he was just humongous. Yeah. And he started getting bigger and bigger roles and becoming more established. And I really got behind him. I really enjoyed him. And I followed him on Instagram for a bit. And I really liked his charisma. I liked his attitude. And then as time goes on, you start to get a little bit more, a few whispers here and there about how, not necessarily vain, but how ego driven these people are, Vin Diesel and The Rock and all that. And then I started to just distance myself from it. But I really got behind him in that resurgence of his career.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too. But then now I kind of feel like he just plays The Rock. He just plays Dwayne Johnson in every movie. Like what? And I know people like my people that are coming and watching, if they stayed this long, they're gonna be like, oh, here he goes talking about it again. Because I talk about it a lot. But it's like, I feel like Pain and Gain is a prime example though of The Rock stepping out of the Rock formula is what I like to call it. And he played like, I think he did a great job in that role. And much like some films in his earlier career and some sprinkled in here and there. There was another one called like Snitch where he did, I think, a great job. And he's like not playing such a giant, like, I'm the Rock, big dude that takes care of business. He's getting beat up in that movie. Like it's a good movie. He's playing an actual role in a character and not kind of just being the Rock. I feel like a lot of movies today, he's just the Rock.
Have you seen Central Intelligence?
Central Intelligence, yes.
The first half of that movie, he's different. And then bam, the second half, he's the Rock.
Yeah, he's
why?
Yeah. I have like a weird, I don't want to call it a hate or anything. I don't hate The Rock, but I have like a weird dislike for The Rock as an actor. It's weird, but anyway, we went off on this whole tangent. But
did you say your favorite movie? Sorry,
I did. Yeah, I was waiting for you. Yeah.
Okay.
It's so for me. I won't run it on too long, like I said. But it's so hard for me. It changes. Things always change. My top 10 games list always change. Everything always changes for me. But I gotta go with a comedic route this time. I'm going to cheat the system a little bit and say that it may not be my top movie of all time, but it's maybe my top comedy-ish movie of all time. I'll go. That's the best that I can define it, you guys. That's as narrowing it down that I can get.
We ain't judging you. We ain't judging you.
And as you guys may or may not know, I'm a pretty big comedy guy. I'm just goofy, dumb, silly on my podcast all the time. And one of the things that I attribute that to is as a kid, I'm a big South Park fan. Matt Stone and Trey Parker, I'm big fans of them. And before they had South Park, they had this Trauma film. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the company Trauma. They had Orgasmo, yes. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the company Trauma. They do like B-list movies, like indie movies. It's where the Toxic Avenger came from. And they had a movie called Cannibal the Musical. And it's exactly what it sounds like. It kind of is a music. I mean, there's music in South Park too all the time. They're singing and doing dumb shit like that in South Park. And that's kind of what this is. It is a movie. It's lower budget before they were famous. So it's got old school VHS style to it. And it's just really dumb based on a true story of, I believe it's the Oklahoma cannibals family or something. I don't remember the entire story, but they went up into the Oklahoma or Colorado or something. I think it's Colorado mountain. They froze to death, and one of the guys survived. And it's rumored that he ate his entire family, or ate the crew members or something like that were on the thing with him. And so it's kind of a parody. That it's really stupid, dumb South Park style comedy before South Park was a thing. There's even Cartman's voice that's in it before Cartman was a thing, and it's like really over the top, dumb, cheesy, stupid comedy. And I attribute that to a lot of my inspiration. I'm not going to say that I'm a comedian or anything like that, but just my dumb stuff I do on my podcast. If you watch that, you'll see the inspiration and stuff like that. So it's definitely my top comedy movie. I can narrow that down.
Cool.
Yeah, man. Because I'm the same. For a while, I always say my favorite film is Die Hard, right? Because it's just fucking, I don't know why it's my favorite film. I can't explain it, but then it's The 13th Floor, and then I watched Grandma's Boy last night, and I was like, you know what? Grandma's Boy is my favorite film of all time. I don't give a shit. Yeah. I know it's just a cheesy comedy, but every line in that film is just laugh after laugh after laugh. It's like, oh man.
And it's the ultimate stoner comedy as well. It does it well.
True.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, you're not watching it for the fucking plot. It's pretty bog standard plot, you know. It's like, I'm not in it for the plot. I'm in it for the hilarious fucking.
Yeah, you're just in there to have a good
dialogue.
time, laugh your ass off. Yeah.
Like even every scene is just, even the scene where he's cooking food and then he burns his hand. It's like simple, but it's just genius. Because he clearly knows, like, and I don't think I've ever been that stoned. I'm trying to think now. I think
I've had some moments where I thought I'm gonna die.
I'll tell you a story, actually.
Do you ever get so high that you forgot what you forget?
You forget what you forgot. That episode, I'm sorry if Craig Becker ever watches this, right? I'm sorry in advance. But that last episode we did was Craig Barco, like 10 minutes from the end. Like I'd smoked quite a lot of weed during and before the episode, and just because I was nervous, like this guy's one of my favorite actors of all time. You know, it's like fucking, we're speaking to Craig Barco. Anyway, 10 minutes before the end, like if you watch till that long, but I am like about to die. I'm sitting there like I'm just nodding my head.
I can't do it on camera, man. I can't do it when I'm talking to people or conducting.
I think I'm just
interviews,
conditioned, man. Like it's just like natural. You know, like when you have something in your hand, it's like one of those things.
I smoke a lot. I have anxiety, and I have like OCD, and I have battled depression and stuff before too. So, and then now it gets into dark territory, but also smoking helps me, you know, relax and keep my shit at bay. But I used to smoke like all day, every day. Now I've toned it down to more like I smoke more so at night when I'm chilling, playing games, watching a movie, doing whatever. But recently I've been thinking about doing an episode because I've never done an episode. I'm 2-3 episodes in by the time this probably comes out. And I've never done an episode high, and I kind of want to do it and brand it as that. And I think people will tune in even more. Like, oh, let's see the dumb shit that he gets into while he's high.
Right. Let's make a deal.
Into dumb shit.
Let's make a deal. We'll do a second podcast. We'll decide on a date, a future date. We'll all be high.
Because we're so close to having like a little mini studio set up. So we're so close.
Nice. So. Yeah. Let's do it. You guys can maybe even.
We'll do a 420 episode.
Want to do it for that, you know?
We'll do a 420 episode.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, man.
April. Let's do it. Well, you know what? I mean, you know, before Sean's battery completely dies, you know, when it comes to weed, like, you know, I get the paranoia as well because I don't smoke often myself. And when I do, I usually just do one pipe. I'm what you call a professional lightweight. I'm very good at keeping my tolerance super low. So one pipe.
Yeah, and that's my tolerance is through the roof. Yeah.
All right. I'm super low tolerance, but I'll work hard on it. Right. So I'll do I'll have 3 weeks away from it, and then I'll get back on it and just do a pipe at a time.
Yeah.
And, you know, sometimes I get those thoughts, you know, I'll think about my book or I think about the podcast, and I feel this sense of, I get very introspective and I start to get like this awareness, but it's not paranoia. What it is that all through our waking day, when we're sober, we sort of put them in the back of our mind, and then suddenly you get high and there's a different pattern that's occurring neurologically. And it's bringing a lot of these insecurities to the surface, and you have to confront them. And I think it's a very cathartic experience when you have to really face those insecurities, because like that doesn't just come from nowhere. That was already there.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And it's important to confront that. And then if you can overcome that, it's some of the best highs you ever have.
Yeah, exactly. Like I get really creative at night. I'm more of a night person. I get very creative at night. And then when I smoke, I get even more creative when I'm in that creative mindset. Like I said, I do smoke a lot to just chill and relax. But when I'm in a creative, I feel like it boosts my creativity through the roof.
I mean,
and do you know when people say to you, like, my granny's a prime example of it, because she'd be like, well, what does it do? Like, and like the best way I describe it to people is if whatever mood you're in, say if you want to lie down and you smoke a bit of weed, it'll enhance that fucking lie down, you know, like if you want to play a game and you smoke a bit of weed, it'll enhance your experience with the game, you know, like
exactly.
It's just an enhancement.
You know,
so unless if you're depressed, it'll enhance the depression. Like it works both ways. You just got to know when to definitely balance out.
Yeah, I'm a giant cannabis connoisseur. I actually used to own a couple series back in the day.
Nice.
Me and my father, we've been in the cannabis industry for years.
You know,
we got him 5 or 9 or 10.
It's legal here, so we're good.
I'm joking.
You know,
it's more illegal here. I'm the one. I'm just fucking snitching on myself.
I never get high when I write, but I'll when I was in the process, you know, I'll be typing up a chapter or something like that, and then I'd get high, and then this whole other element would come to me, and then I'd jot those ideas down, and then I'd be sober again in the morning and go back to it, because I can't do it when I'm high, but I'm good high when it comes to retrospective things. It's like you reanalyze it and you think, oh no, I can say this bit of dialogue, I can say this bit of world building, whatever it might be, and it's like that's awesome though. Keep the two minds separate. Yeah,
whatever works for you, you know.
All right, well, 420 then. We're going to do that.
Yeah.
Doesn't even have to be April, but, you know, whenever.
Yeah, definitely.
Start the podcast at 420 one day, you know.
We'll be like, that's not a smoke effect, by the way. That's just our smoke.
This is not CGI.
And like I said, you know, I mean, it's all pre-recorded anyway. So if any outlandish shit happens, we can just edit it out. So don't worry about it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Except for this is all going in complete. We've got it's perfect. So thanks a lot. It's been an absolute pleasure, mate.
Oh,
and
man.
We'll keep you updated when this gets uploaded. It could be next week could be a couple of weeks later. So
yeah, for sure, man, for sure. I'll send you guys my audio and the video too. If you want it or not, I'll send it. I'll fix it up just slightly, and then I'll send it over to you guys. Probably take a couple days though.
Yeah, no rush. I appreciate it.
Cool, man.
It's been an absolute pleasure.